Alright, are we live? I think we're live. We are live! Hello! Oh my god, why is my mic doing that? Holy shit, that is peaking a lot. We're just gonna turn his ass down. We're gonna turn your ass down. Alright, so War Sales drops on Wednesday. Today is Monday. I wanted to go over some of the factions because, like, while a big thing of War Sales is obviously the war and the sales, we know that's not going to be everything. The entirety of the game will not be decided out on the waves. There will still be plenty of land fighting. I think there's a free update dropping as well that adds, like, better stealth and other bullshit like that. So we will need to know how to, like, fight on land. And while the Nords would probably be a pretty fun faction to play as because they seem to just be straight Vikings, I'm worried that they're too similar to the Sturgians. That it's basically just going to be two of the exact fucking same faction. But yeah, we'll get to that. So here I've got my Steam updates open, and like here's a trade cog, like a very fucking basic ass ship. But then you go down here to the actual, like, the warships, right? And they're going to have three sail types. You've got square, Lateen, and hybrid. Now, square sailing is very Western European. Lateen rigging is more Eastern European. Closer to, like, the Middle East. And then hybrid is very, like, Roman era. Like, mid-European. Because they would take influences from both to try to make a ship that could do both. Starting off with the Empire's navy, very Romanesque, you know, Greco-Roman. Heavy. Hey, Chunkabunk, what's up, buddy? Come here, bud. Ugh. Here's my little chunky bunk. They have the most well-rounded navy in Calradia. It says it right here. Which is kind of a thing with the Empire in general. They try to be very well-rounded, try to be very everything, you know? Starting with the Liburna, which is this small little bitch here. Doesn't even have, like, a ram in the front, I don't think. And then here is the Dromon. They're, like, biggest and best ship. Now, the little guy has a square sail, meaning that backwind, because, like, I did forget to go into these. Square sails benefit from rear wind. Like, when the wind's hitting you square in the back, you get the best wind. They can get some side wind, but it's not as good. Lateens don't benefit from backwind very well, but they do benefit heavily from rear wind. Or not rear wind, from some side wind. Lateen sails are all about side wind. And then the hybrid you can get from the back or from the side. So like their you know, their flagship is a hybrid, so it has those great sails. This is the flagship of the Aserai, so the ones that become the Serid Sultanate. The Aserai got those Lateen sails because they're Middle Eastern, and they have modest oar support. But what I like about the look of the Aserai ship is that it sweeps to like a thick back with a cover and battlements on the side, so like you're not gonna take a lot of arrows back here. But up here at the front, it's very sleek and thin, and you've got that strong ram. I might play as the Aserai. Yeah. So, the little man is offering his opinion. What were you gonna say, bud? No? You done? Okay. Those Lateen sails will give strong side wind, but I'm not gonna get a lot of backwind support. Then we go to the Battanians. I feel bad for the Botanians. I mean, if you ever look at their map, they really don't have like a history of naval excellence. Most of their shit is just wind from the rear, or fishermen. A lot of them are fishermen on canoes. It says right here, riverine and woodland traditions. Because like if you look at it, they have a lake in the center of their land, and they have that river to the north separating them from the Sturgians. But other than that, they really don't have a history of naval tradition. So that I'm worried that their boats aren't going to do well. Can I help you? And that sucks because the Botanians are some of my favorite people in the game. But at the same time, like, the only time I'm going to be in this boat is when I'm raiding the Sturgians. So there's still a good chance that I might go Botanian. So let's see here. A light, square-sailed rig with a narrow hull and modest height. Designed for speed and agility in calmer waters. Its open deck layout supports ranged combat well, though limited crew makes it vulnerable to boarding and less effective in long engagements. So, load this bitch with fiends and have them just hail arrows on the enemy, basically turning it into mounted archers, but with longbows, which could work as long as I'm zipping around and, laying volleys down without getting hit in return. Speaking of mounted archers, the Cuget. At least I think that's how you say it. The Cuziate. I'm just going to call them the Cuget. They have the Qualguk, a heavy flagship, wide, longed hull with lateen sails, high speed and solid deck space and archer positions, long range pressure. Let's see, not great oar support, slow acceleration, because that's what lateen sails are all about. Slow acceleration, but great maneuverability. Great deck space and great archer positions, but I feel like I think there's even a ram on the front of this one. I think the downside to this boat in particular is going to be that slow acceleration and movement. While it can probably pivot left and right and maneuver well, I don't think it's fast enough to keep the Cuget alive for long on the board. Or on board. Next up is Sturgia. You can see it's very Viking. Like, if we even... Oh, I guess Viking is 2 down. Like, look at that. And then, look at that. They're so similar. Their focus is on strength, oar power, and cold water resilience. Their heavy ship, the Lodya, a galley with the profile of a longship. So like a mixture of Vlandian and Norse. Featuring a long hull and open deck that has a great deck capacity, built for pushing through volleys and closing the distance for boarding. It boasts strong oar power while retaining a decent sail capability. So, not an archer boat. This is going to get into the fight, pushing hard and fast, and then once it gets in there, you board them with your melee fighters. Not too different from how you'd fight on land with the Sturgians. Get in close, fuck them up with axes. And then we go to the Vlandians. Look at that. That is just a giant cog. Like, that's a straight up galley called the Round Ship. Like, this is a European fucking looking boat. Tall, boxy, elevated decks, ideal for range supports. You get, like, crossbowmen on these upper platforms. And then you've got your, like, actual, like, knights and shit down here. Modest oar power, but strong defensive structures and commanding lines of sight. Because these guys, they're so high up, they're going to have great range and great reach. Not to mention, it's going to be harder to shoot up and get them because of their elevated positions. These guys, not as well defended, but I am. Sorry, it's still very early for me. I am sure you could find something to put on the sides, like palisades. Then we get down here to the Nords. Decisive close quarters combat. The Drakkar, this beautiful longship. Medium open deck vessel, designed for acceleration. Relies heavily on powerful oars and boarding. Little protection against missiles. Fast acceleration to close the gap and overwhelm them with numbers. So, almost the exact same as this bitch. Yep, closing the distance and decisive boarding actions. Although this one's more armored. I think this one's going to be faster. I think this one's going to be more sturdy. But, like, just looking at all these, the ones I think looks the best is either this one. And as stupid as it looks, there's something about this big-ass canoe that just endears me. But I think this is probably the sexiest looking boat. Because, like, don't get me wrong, these are what my buddy Dan is going to go for, 1,000%. This little Byrame, and then this fucking Pentrame or Trerame. Like, God, yeah, you know Dan's going to love those, but I've got to give it to the Aserai. Like, yeah, it relies primarily on sail power, with only a modest oar support. And while it may be slow to go, if I get good wind, I will have a higher top speed. But the real reason I'd want to go with the Aserai is because, like, their whole island is cut off by water, so I could just pop up and down that coast. The same as what I'd probably do here if I was like a pirate. Just popping around in the rivers, raiding random people. But and then we look at the actual Nords. Oh. And, like, here's their king, right? He's got that ba-dum, boom, you know, going on. Some of their agricultural look. Very heavy wood, foresty bitches. Which I think I'm going to really enjoy walking around and looking at all this. Here's a Chieftain's Hall. Or the tavern. That's Chieftain's Hall. Yeah, this is the tavern. Okay. And then you can see that they've got marshlands, grasslands, mountain regions. Like, they're going ham on it. Good shields, axes, spears, and the Atgeir. The Atgeir actually makes an appearance. They've got, I'm going to guess this is a spjot for throwing. And then this one, probably for sticking. Some axes here. That one's bearded, that one's not. So I'm going to assume throwing axe or hand axe. But then we've actually got these dedicated, like, winged spears here. I think I saw... Yeah, he has a mace hanging off his hip. That's pretty cool. They're stylistic banners. Pretty damn cool. New face paint, new hairstyles, new flag banner options here. I'm going to probably go with this one. And then here's some of, like, the other people. Like, these are the Corsairs, which are like pirates. You know? Barbary Coast. Yep. In the north, you'll see Sea Raiders, a seaborne version of their land counterparts. And Sea Raiders are in the first game, even. But you fight them mostly on land. The Corsairs are what I'm going to have to deal with as Aserai if I play as the Aserai and I don't play as the Nords. As much as I want to play as the Nords, I'm worried they're just going to be the Sturgians all over again. Here they've got a video of their last fight. It was the Khajiit versus the... I want to say the Khajiit versus the Nords. And they got absolutely decimated. I'm gonna go ahead and pop the game up. Oh, my everything. Ouch. I stretched. Not doing that again. Oh, I'm getting too old. See, look, Sturgians. Got that Viking look to him. Like, I'm gonna drop in Sturgia and just, like, look at what some of the shops are selling and just be like, how is this any different than Vikings? I hope, I genuinely hope they change the Sturgians, like, play style and shit to accommodate the Nords better. I think it's weird that I love the Battanians so much, considering I hated what the Battanians turned into, which is the Vrang. I think that's what they're called, the Vrangnir, in the first game, because they had shit armor. I mean, they had shit everything, but shit armor, really. Shit armor, no shields. Their archers were decent, but meh. Loved wielding two-handed weaponry, and I'm like, dude, get yourself some fucking clothes. But the Battanians, I love them. Oh, she'll actually tell me how to pronounce it. Hold on. Will it? Will it tell me how to pronounce? They're winding back way too far. Are you not getting any desktop audio? Hold on. Are you not getting any of my desktop audio? It won't even let me, like, it's like no source detected. Why is no source detected? That's weird. That's very weird. I can't believe I just noticed that. Oh, no, there's audio. Okay. Hopefully this is displaying well. I'm just gonna go basic bitch, yeah, why not? You know what? Why not? Why not? Why not? It's like I'm old as shit. Because, like, I'm not keeping this character. I'm literally just trying to get to a city so I can look at shit. Alright, so, just starting off, I have a spear, a shield, and an axe. I'm wearing a tunic with a nice leather vest over it, and a fucking scarf because it's cold out. But if we look at what they've got the Viking's knife, the Sax. Right there. And yes, this is the sharp side. And it's clipped to give it a better tip. A masterwork bastard sword. Well, that is Vlandian right there. So would the falchion. The falchion would be a Vlandian kind of inspiration. And then some fucking round shields. Nordic shortbow. Literally, Nordic shortbow. Really? Really. Bags of harpoons. Tribesman throwing knife. And we go down here, we've got some legendary Slavin leather. It's in like shitty leather. Adorable. Alright. Not a lot here. Let's try Omor. Just take my money. I don't have time. God damn, I'm fast. There must be a hideout. Yep. Still not a lot. A ranger bow over here. Horseman javelins, more fish harpoons and simple javelins. Here we go. The Spangle Helm. Or Spangen Helm. And then a nasal helm. Called so because it protects one's nasal region. Stitched leather vest. And a reinforced thick tunic. Basically a cheap version of a gambeson. Starting to get into actual gambesons. A tapered blade, here we go. That's looking a bit more Viking. The pommel's not right. Needs a fist pommel. But these kinds of war swords are much closer to what we'd be like working with. Shystopers, spears, pikes, metal pikes, or fine metal pikes. A masterwork Nordic bow. Dude, the Sturgians have like the worst archers in the game. Straight up. Some of the fucking worst archers in the game. Don't know why they bother with it. Here we go. Early versions of the Coat of Plates. Huskarl's decorated mail. Huskarl. A Nordic term for a housecarl or a bodyguard. So yeah, the Sturgians are just the Nords. And unless they do something to really differentiate these two, I'm gonna be pissed. Like, don't get me wrong. It's still gonna be worth it. The DLC will still be worth it in my eyes. Just because it adds naval combat. But if the Nordic faction is just another flavor of Sturgian, I'm gonna be a little upset. Because they're going to be too similar. Right now, all the factions have a great thing that sets them apart. You've got the Battanians with their weak armor, but good-sized shields, amazing archers, and, I mean, they're glass cannons. They do great damage with their falxes and their two-handed swords. but they are not a defensive people. Yeah, they have great shield coverage, but those shields aren't, you know, it's not going to protect from side and back attacks. Then you've got the Sturgians, who are supposed to be Nordic. They've got round shields and axes to do heavy damage. They've got good shock troops and thick, heavy armor. But they've got shit archers and poor cavalry. With their specialist unit being probably their only good cavalry unit, which is a lancer that they got from the Vlandians. So yes, you could say that they're a fusion of the Vlandian and the Nords that are going to be added, but I don't want that because I can get that on my own. Next is the Aserai. The Aserai are similar to a Jack of all trade, Master of none, but the Empire does it better. The best thing that the Aserai do is thrown weapons, and archers are damn good. Hold on, I'm getting a piece of candy. I should say stealing a piece of candy, but they've also got decent foot soldiers. You know, they're just decent in most respects. Good on horseback, good on, you know, and while all their units are great, none of them are the best at what they do. Then you've got the Empire, which is truly a little bit of everything. Crossbowmen, archers, horse cavalry, infantry, you know, pikemen. They have everything. But in having everything, you run the risk of spreading too thin and having too much of this, too much of that, and not enough of this and not enough of that. And because of that, it can be very difficult to build an army that is both balanced, but also strong enough in those niches. Then you've got the Vlandians. Heavy infantry with a reliance on shock cavalry. Crossbowmen make up their support, and while crossbows are slow, God, do they fucking hurt. So they're hitting really hard. But because they're hitting so hard, you tend to kill your enemies before the enemies get to kill you. But because your men are also built to be durable, more Huscarl bullshit. You know. And then you've got the Khajiit, which are the Huns. So, fuck ton of horse archers and lancers. God damn it. You know what? Fuck off. But yeah. I'm nervous. I'm nervous the Nords are going to suck. But I know that the naval combat's going to